Hi, this is Baptiste for the Wisdom of the Heart channel, and today I'm here with one of the greatest visionaries of our time, Gregg Braden. Greg, how are you?
Well, thank you for your kind words, and I am doing really well. I want to say hello to all of our viewers today, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here today.
Greg, your latest book is called Fractal Time.
Fractal Time, yes.
What do you mean by fractal time? What is that?
Fractal time is an innovative way of looking at the cycles of time that govern so much of our existence. And the bottom line is that we live in a universe of cycles. Personal cycles of love, betrayal, loss, abundance, success, global cycles of war and peace, the rise and fall of civilizations. And that these cycles are triggered by events linked to Earth's orbit in the heavens that can be predicted, calculated. We can know when the cycles occur. So the bottom line, and what the book is all about, is if we understand the cycles, then we know that if we know where to look in the past, it will help us to know what to expect when the cycles repeat. So the big cycle everyone is talking about right now, 2012. 2012 has happened at least 4 times in the past. Every 5,000 years, there is a 2012 cycle. If we know where to look in the history of the Earth, if we know where to look in the history of civilization, the archaeological records, then we can give ourselves a realistic idea, not the speculation, not the fear, not the prophecy, not the prediction, but solid science that says this is what you can expect in your world, and it helps us to prepare and work together and learn from the past. And that is what Fractal Time is all about.
And so, what can we expect in our world in the nearby future?
That's a very, very good question. And when we look at the big cycles, it looks to us from the year 2010, we all believe that the world is changed very quickly and that something is broken. And it's easy to think that if we look only 100 or 150 years. But through the geologic record, the ice cores in Antarctica, for example, we can look at 480,000 years of the history of this planet. And we can see in those 480,000 years, we can compare today to the past. And what we see is the changes on Earth right now are the changes that always happen when we reach the point in the cycle where we are now. I would be concerned if the changes were not there. But we also can see that some of the great civilizations in the past, they collapsed and they disappeared when they reached the point in their cycle where we are in ours because they made the mistake that I believe we can avoid. And that mistake is that in the changes of the world and in their fear, they began to fight one another and create wars, and everyone lost. But the civilizations that cooperated and worked together, shared the resources and helped one another through the difficult times, they did very well. And the other thing we can tell from the history of the Earth is that the cycles are very intense, but they're brief. So I think this is what's happening. I think that the changes on Earth right now are forcing corporations, governments, nations, and individuals to work together in new ways because it's necessary now. But because the cycle is brief, it doesn't last generation after generation. I think what will happen is even when the crises no longer exist, we will continue to work together because we're better people and we have a better world when we do. And in that way, we are truly giving birth to a brand new world right now. And our opportunity is to lay the foundation and to forge the mold for what that new world will look like. How do we work together? And that's the opportunity for all of us. So the book Fractal Time describes the cycles, what has happened in the past, how we can participate, how we can contribute, and realistically, what it is that we can expect in terms of the physical changes in our world.
So we could say that we are really living in extraordinary times.
We are living a rare and precious moment in the history of this planet that a human has not seen since the biblical era. And I think about this a lot. I think it takes a really strong being to live in a world that we've learned and has worked well for us for so long, and to suddenly have that world change and try to live in a new world, but one generation must live in both at the same time, and that's where we find ourselves today. And I think it's so interesting that we find ourselves in that world. what we learn from the past is that the systems that are put together to sustain a civilization, they work when the world is good. When we go through a cycle like we are now, those systems are taxed, they're stressed. And the ones that are not sustainable are the ones that fall away and collapse very quickly. And the ones that are sustainable seem to do well. So as we look at the world around us and the changes today, the economic system, the way we create electricity, the way we share resources, the way we create peace in the world, all of the problems appear to be coming from systems that are no longer sustainable. So the question now we have to ask ourselves is, do we work to continue an unsustainable way of life? Or do we say, that way of life worked in the past, it brought us to where we are right now, and now it's time for a new way. We let that go, and we move into a new world and embrace a new system. That's the choice that we are all making right now, and that's why I feel so important about the book Fractal Time, because it helps us to understand the context and exactly how we make those choices.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for this interview.
Yeah, absolutely.